Hello everyone and welcome to another Total War Warhammer online commentary. In this battle I'm going to be playing the Warriors of Chaos led by the new and improved KHOLEK'S Suneater. And guys, we're going to be facing off against the Beastmen, and it looks like he's bringing Malagor the Dark Omen, who I haven't seen in quite some time. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these army compositions here, and we can go from there. So in the front line I do have a combination of the standard Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and they are supported by the Mirror Guard here in the middle. So the Chaos Warriors with great weapons are pretty good against the Beastmen because number one, they have a really high armor. So against, gore herds and, low tier Beastmen infantry, they're going to be very, very durable. Secondly, they also do have armor piercing. So against Bestigors, which are a pretty popular front line against the Warriors of Chaos, they're going to perform quite well. And as far as like general stats go, Bestigors I think cost a little bit more, like 150 more or 200 more, give or take. And these guys trade very, very evenly with them. So Chaos, I think one of their biggest strengths is, the Chaos Warriors in the front line with the great weapons. They have very good melee attack and very kind of a good melee defense, a nice balance. Whereas like, Black Orcs, for example, I think have like melee attack in the 40s, but their melee defense is really, really low, like in the 20s. So they obviously take quite a bit more damage. So I like these guys quite a bit. But my opponent actually did bring a bit of a different army. He does have some the Sons of Goros back there, but the Butchers of Kalkengard as well as some Minotaurs with great weapons on the far side. So the problem, one of the things that really smashes on Chaos Warriors with great weapons is Minotaurs. Minotaurs do pretty well, and obviously with that regeneration and the relatively low, kind of slow attack rate of the great weapons here, it's going to be tough to deal with those Minotaurs. But the rest of his front line, including those gore herds and different things like that, are really going to get smashed on by my, standard Chaos Warriors. So I do have the Mirror Guard in the middle. I really like these guys as kind of the anchor and centerpiece of my army. They have really good stats. I mean, 56 melee defense is extremely high. Good melee attack, decent weapon strength, and they're just durable and immune to psychology. So against Cygors and I don't think Minotaurs cause terror or Gorbles. I think they all just cause fear. But nonetheless, they're just a nice, very, very durable piece there. You guys can see they do have 89 leadership right now, whereas these Chaos Warriors are actually around 83. But what are the ones on the flanks? Yeah, it looks like they're 79, give or take. So maybe it was just the chevron distribution. I do also have some Chaos Warriors with halberds just to help out with Gorbles and give me a little bit of a backline support. And if he does decide to flank me, granted most people don't flank Chaos too heavily because they're very durable. They don't really have vulnerable missile units in the back, but nonetheless I like to have some halberds to kind of muck up a Gorble. I do have a Big Daddy KHOLEK. So KHOLEK is extremely good against the Beastmen now. I was about to say the Warriors of the Beasts, but against the Beastmen because he now has 100 armor. So one of the big issues with KHOLEK before was like Ungor Raiders could pepper him down, but now that he has 100 armor, it's so much harder to kill him. I'd also have the Swords of Chaos, which are going to be his personal bodyguard. They do have the Guardian ability and the Apocalyptic Charge, which is very, very cool. Metal shifting over here. So all I bought was the Final Transmutation and the Plague of Rust. So against Gorble, Plague of Rust is actually, decent. Like if you're able to catch a Gorble, let's say with the Demon Spew, the Nurgle of Forsaken over here, and poison them, Plague of Rust them, then their high DPS is really going to take that guy down pretty quick. So, and these guys are awesome. Even though they did just get a cost increase, I still think they're super competitive and are really good with that Swarm of Flies ability. In the far side, I have some Hounds kind of just trolling about, and I also do have some Forsaken I'm using as kind of a flanking unit, because Forsaken, if it's not the Sons of Goros, if they're fighting regular Centaurs in the forest and I'm able to get an okay jump on them, I should be able to tear them up. So for my opponent's army, and I'll go ahead and put it on normal speed so we can get to the battle faster. He does some Gors in the front line, which are obviously just fodder, because, again, Beastmen have a lot of new expensive regiments of renown, so he just bought Gors with shields. They have somewhat high melee defense, and, they're going to get massacred by my front line. But nonetheless, they're basically just buying time for the Butchers of Kalkengard and the Koroks Man Rippers on the far side, this Bestigor here, Herd Regiment of Renown, who are really, really powerful. He does also have the Eye of Morsleep, so this guy is great against Chaos. Like, you can snare down high-value vulnerable targets, and KHOLEK isn't vulnerable per se, but you could snare him down and then get, like, let's say, a good surround with the Minotaurs with great weapons, who do have a good anti-large and armor piercing. So he's got a lot of power in the back. He's got Gorbles, 2 groups of Minotaurs, the Eyes of Morsleep, the Eye of Morsleep, and he also does have the Sons of Goros, so the cowhide. I love the cowhide texturing. It always is pretty funny to me. But regardless, these guys aren't bad either. They do have Guardian, so if I'm able to kind of start gooning Malagor, he can run those guys over and protect. So guys, without further ado, let the battle begin. So in the back, you can see my Hounds are kind of sneaking around. I really wanted to get on Malagor, and Malagor actually just brought Devolve, it looks like. And just before we get rolling here, I wanted to show you guys Malagor's buffs here, because we don't see him often. So he has Unholy Power, so he gets pretty good Winds of Magic. He can really spam Devolve like crazy. But he has Primal Fury. So it looks like, is that target? Yeah, is that a self target? Oh, it actually is self. I could have sworn he had one that like buffed everyone nearby, but I don't know if he brought that. And he also does have something comes this way, but he didn't bring that. That actually gives a negative leadership debuff to nearby stuff, I think. Yeah. Anyways, guys, the battle is beginning. You can see the Warriors of Chaos pushing up. My Hounds in the back are kind of just lurking, trying to find an opportunity. And my Forsaken on the far side, I wish they had been on opposite sides, but because I couldn't get past these Koroks Man Rippers, so I have to run all the way around. But you can see KHOLEK drops Lord of the Storm right here on these Man Rippers, kills about 7 of them, and does some huge damage. damage. That's a really, really solid ability, guys. You can see his boulders right here. The Eye of More Sleep is quite a bit more accurate than a regular Cygor, and he just punishes my Chaos Knights. So Kholek gets into the front line, and he's just going to start whomping on these Gore Herds right here. And he has like big mass, and he can really run through these guys pretty easily. But my opponent reacting very, very quickly with these Minotaurs in the back line, so I definitely did not want these Minotaurs fighting Kholek. So you can see Kholek's going to be turning around and running back through the ranks, and I think he actually whipped things with his tail now. But my opponent used the Warp Gaze, which was awesome. So he used that Eye of More Sleep, he gazes me down, he pulls in a Gorbel, and all these great weapons just smashing on Kholek. So this was a really, really bad situation for me. Thankfully, I did have some Chaos Warriors nearby that were going to be able to help out. On the far side, you could see that my Swords of Chaos were able to push through. I wanted to do a charge over here and collapse him, but I really, realized Kholek was in a lot of danger. So my Swords of Chaos are going to come back in and get a good surround right here and start hammering on some of these Minotaurs. Granted, the Minotaurs with great weapons will trade very well there. I still needed to give Kholek that protection, because now you guys can see he does have Guardian, so he has 36% damage mitigation, which is very important. In the back, my Forsaken were able to run up and around. They were hidden, so my opponent didn't see him with the Korok's Man Rippers, and I'm able to get a really, really good kind of chase on Malagor, and my Poison Hounds are now coming out, so I just had to be really patient with those. In the front line, I do have my Halberds here as well, fighting off some of these Minotaurs, and the Minotaurs with great weapons are just getting trounced on. Kholek has anti-large himself, and very, very heavy armor-piercing values, so he's able to just dumpster these Minotaurs, plus I have the Halberds supporting. He definitely went very all-in trying to take out my my Kholek Sun Eater here, who, if I didn't have my Guardian ability, he would probably be like close to 2,000 HP, if not less, so definitely very helpful, because the Gorbel is also hitting him. So, he committed very heavily with these Minotaurs, and it definitely did not pay off. Kholek and these Halberds were able to fend these guys off. Over here on this other side of the battle, you can see the Mirror Guard, having racked up 41 kills, have basically just kind of routed off these Gore Herds here. Granted, they are terrifying because of Kholek. And the Sons of Goros did engage here. They kind of slammed in general into my Cav, but they're also supporting in the front line. So the Eye of More Sleep is throwing back there at my Demon Spew, who I was keeping an auxiliary for a little bit too long, unfortunately. And my Chaos Warriors, the great weapons here, like I was saying, I mean, they have too much armor for standard Beastmen, infantry to deal with. So if they don't bring Bestigor herds, the Chaos Warriors are just going to run shop. You can see they're at 40 kills. They're at about half health, but they're going to rout off these Gore herds. Granted, if that's all that was fighting here and the Gore herds did that much damage, that's actually not bad for the cost. My Metal Sorcerer is helping out here on the far side, and you can see my Forsaken. We really developed like a strong fight over here. So you can see the Demon Spew, and I don't know if this was Demon Spew actually. I think this was just my regular Forsaken. So they've kind of surrounded Malagor right here. You can see some of my Hounds are kind of beating on him, and Malagor is very, very squishy. And he kind of looks pretty cool with those wings. But he'd also have the Destroyers of Drakewald here, who are the Regiment of Renown, and they are applying poison, which is quite helpful. He's also getting a nice sandwich here. Some of these Gore herds coming in the back of my Forsaken, who are a relatively squishy unit. Granted, they do have 75 armor. So, Malagor is pretty vulnerable right now, and you can see Big Daddy Kholek. I was trying to get by and actually go beat on Malagor, and you can see my Demon Spew have gotten through with the Mirror Guard in the front line. They definitely did a good job, but Malagor does get a nice little devolve that's going to hit, several groups of my infantry. But Kholek, much more durable. I mean, if this had been like pre-armor nerf, he might have been pretty close to dying there. Granted, his units did have armor piercing anyways. So now Kholek's going to get in here and start smashing on these Beastmen. You can see that attack on Malagor actually kills a bunch of his Destroyers of Drakewald back here. Sends a few of them flying into the Shadow Realm, which is always a good time. But Malagor is extremely squishy, guys. And, Morkar obviously is a much more competitive lord, but it's pretty cool to see people, trying these different lords out. But Malagor, if you bring Malagor just with the devolve like he did, I mean, he must only cost like 1,100. He must be dirt cheap. But Kholek's laying a good smacking on him. The Swords of Chaos have gotten into the back line. The Eye of More Sleep is engaged on by a bunch of Halberds, so that's pretty good for me. And the Halberds are also able to deal with Gorbel. I really like just bringing like a single one. I feel like that's pretty important. But these Korok's Man Rippers, these guys are definitely one of the, probably the best regiment of renown that the Beastmen got. I mean, one of the issues with Bestigors in general is they're extremely low defensive stats. I mean, I think they're rocking melee defense in the high 20s, or if even. But these guys have, let's go ahead and take a look here, 47 melee defense, 45 melee attack. I mean, they have great weapon strength. They have a good anti-large bonus, heavily armored, good leadership. Just a solid unit all around. And they're really just beating down my great weapons right here. I mean, their unit quality is just so much better. You guys can also see that the Minotaurs are back, and they're doing some nice somersaults into these guys, but these are the ones with regeneration. So I was able to fend them off earlier and, put them real low, and I think they actually broke, but now they're back, and they're just plowing into my troops, making a pretty big impact here. So you can see the Chaos Warriors here taking massive shock damage, and Chaos Warriors do struggle really bad against Minotaurs. Granted, the Chaos Warriors will beat most Beastmen standard infantry. I faced a few Beastmen armies since the Chaos improvement with their new regiments of renown, where they had front lines and Bestigors, so they would have like 2 Bestigors and Korok's Man Rippers, some Minotaurs, the Butchers of Kalkengard, and then like great weapons, and then some spears in the back, and with what's his name, Morkar, and it was really tough. Like, they just cracked your front line really aggressively. But with what's his name being dead, Malagor being dead, KHOLEK was able to kill him, and the Eye of Morsley routing off, and most of his infantry being shattered for the most part. These guys are going to have to turn and run. And also, the Swords of Chaos are really good against him. The Swords of Chaos, granted they're armored, and the Butchers can do well against them. I mean, I think in a one-on-one the Butchers might win. I'm not sure actually, because the Swords of Chaos do have amazing stats, and they also have fire damage. So against the regenerating units and their weakness to fire, it's a pretty big damage boost. But well played to my opponent. It was a pretty fun battle. It was cool seeing Malagor in action. Chaos Warriors in the front did pretty well. Granted, I did take a beating from these Koroks Man Rippers as well as the Butchers of Kalkengard here, who were pretty much full health there, and they racked up 86 kills. So really powerful stuff from them. But we were able to get into the back line and really just get Malagor. You guys saw I got my Hounds and my Forsaken out, so Malagor wasn't able to kind of maneuver as he pleased, which was pretty strong. Secondly, one of the big issues my opponent had is he really committed to that KHOLEK beatdown in the beginning. I mean, that could have paid off. That really could have, but I was able to just get just far enough back, close to my halberds, where I was able to support with my Swords of Chaos, my other troops like that. But that was pretty all in for sure, because it really exposed my Minotaurs, or his Minotaurs, excuse me, to the Swords of Chaos and the halberds and different things like that. And KHOLEK, ultimately just turned and fought and was able to really stand his ground. So that could have really changed the tide of the game had it gone the other way. But very well played to my opponent, Pro R2D2. Look forward to seeing you again on ladder, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this Chaos game. Have an excellent night and take care.